When you mention intersexual dynamics and social proof, let's start there for how that could help somebody. Let's say there's a man listening. He's in a city. He doesn't have many selections when it comes to jobs, not too many selections when it comes to women to date. He's trying to, get his life together, and he's looking for that next step. Intersexual dynamics and social proof. How can that help him get to the promised land that you just so elegantly described?
So we have what's called the first 4 steps of MOA. What you just asked is the absolute most common question I get. A guy starting from zero in a place that's not super popular. He doesn't live next door to the Playboy Mansion. He's just living a normal life like the majority of hardworking Americans in this country. So the thing is, I have these first 4 steps. And the step number 1 is to fix your social media. You need your social media to be on point. There's a great video by Alex Hormozy that just came out a couple days ago. And he goes over where he ranks how different social media platforms work as far as generating business. He puts TikTok far at the bottom. TikTok gets like an F, and he puts Instagram and YouTube at the top. And I'm telling you personally, it's absolute. You try to pick up women using LinkedIn and Twitter. Good luck, homie. Tell me how that fucking works for you, because it's not going to do. You're try to throw a party from girls you meet on Twitter. Tell me how that works for you. No, the way you're going to do it is you can build a profile on YouTube, and then you can actually one of the things he talks about in the program is that Gen X and Gen Z and millennials prefer IGDM. If you're a guy and you're used to being around attractive women, you start to understand more and more that DMing women on Instagram is by far the preferred mode, whereas older guys are sending emails and doing text messages. And so once you learn these concepts, you're like, okay, well, I need to fix my Instagram. So just consider I don't know how it is in Charlotte, but here, sorry, wild.
You good?
Yeah. Sorry. It's just 4 nights of partying for my birthday. I'm
a hydrate for you, bro.
Yeah, there you go. I'm doing 75 hard, so I got to do a gallon a day. So now you consider. I don't know how it is in the city you live in, but where I live, all of our billboards are covered with personal injury attorneys. It's a very high markup career. The biggest personal injury attorney in the city is Steve Demopoulos. Is a good friend of mine here. And we consider from their standpoint, what they're doing is building a brand. And when you go to Steve's office, which I've been to there several times, everything is granite. It's beautiful. You're sitting on the most incredible couch you've ever sat on in your life while you're in the waiting room, having like immaculate coffee served to you in beautiful mugs. And then you go into his office, and it's very like everywhere you're just looking, it's just signs of success all over the place. Well, you can do the same thing with your social media. Consider if you're a man and your social media looks incomplete or just looks poor. It's the same thing as going to an attorney's office and you're missing a couch. You go to an attorney's office and there's like a wall missing in the office. You go to the attorney's office and the attorney is sitting there and there's no desk in front of him. It looks incomplete. As a man, you need to work on your social media in 2 parts. Number 1, if a girl, don't take my word for any of this. Go find a beautiful woman that you're friends with or is dating one of your guy friends and ask them this question. You meet an attractive guy. What's one of the first things you're going to look at? She's going to tell you, especially the more attractive she is, I'm going to look at his social media. I'm going to look at his Instagram. She's going to look at his Instagram first. So having your Instagram set up to be really good to where guys or other potential employers or sponsors or whatever would want to hang out with you and hire you. And women would see that, hey, I can go on an adventure with this guy. He seems to have social proof where other women find approval in him. And you don't have to post pictures with women. Sometimes you can, but you don't have to. What's actually more important is that you have women liking the photos, women commenting, and women following you. That's actually what's most important as far as pre-selection, or what the term is called mate choice copying in evolutionary biology. You'll have that phenomenon happen. So step number 1 is to fix your social media. Step number 2 is to build a list. My list, I usually try to have 10 times as many females as males. So it's going to be a Google spreadsheet, and I'm going to have maybe 2,000 female influencers I would want to come to a party. Let's just say I had a huge party go ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt, but why 10 times more females than males? What is the methodology or the thought process for the focus on females?
Yeah, anybody who wants to throw an event, you need to write this down. If you want 100 females to come to your party, you need to invite 2,000 females. If you want 100 men to come to your party, you need to invite 0. If you do that, you will get 100 men and 100 women. The more women are pulling themselves out of the IRL dating market, meaning they're not going to singles bars, they're not going to nightclubs, the more they're doing it, the more desperate men become. My birthday, like I said before, I invited I invited probably 1,700 girls, and I had about 35 show up in the end. So I'm there with 35 girls. I invited 0 guys, and I had 35 guys show up. They just showed up throughout the night. You just don't need, like, if you have a high status event, I'm going to tell you that, guys, this, and anyone who's done this before, you know this to be the case. If you have a high status event, you don't need to invite men. They will just show up in droves. You're going to get messages from like the biggest attorney in the city being like, hey man, can I come to your party? They're going to message you and ask you those questions. It's one of the craziest phenomena. And now because they're coming to you and asking you a question, now later on, you are the person who comes off as being higher status. I used to go to Dan Bilzerian's Ignite parties when he had these 4 massive Ignite parties back in 2018 to 2020. And when you'd go there, the girls would go into the party and you'd see their boyfriends would be out on the street and they had fire hoses. Ted, they had fire hoses and pepper spray to keep the men out. I'm not making this up. Look it up, dude. The guys were all armed with shotguns. And I remember I had Bilzerian on my show and I say, hey, dude, were those shotguns loaded? He goes, yes, they were loaded. He goes, guys were crazy trying to get into these parties.
Yikes.
Men, because women are pulling themselves out of they're not pulling themselves out of the dating market, but they're pulling themselves they're putting themselves in a virtual dating market, meaning Instagram, OnlyFans, dating apps, because they're putting themselves in a virtual dating market. What's happened is the IRL dating space, in real life dating space, is becoming harder and harder to meet single attractive women. It's becoming very difficult. I had a guy on my show one time. This guy's worth like $100 million, and he's like, "You just don't see 10s at the store. When you go to the mall, you just don't see 10s anymore." And I was like, "Yeah, I kind of agree." So what happens is, as this inequity becomes more and more prevalent, you have to create a great offer and a great party. And when you do so, you need to invite 10 times as many women as you want to come in order to get those women to come. If half of the women open your IG, by the way, so step number 2 is to build your list with 10 times as many women as men. Step number 3, so it'd be 2,000 women and 200 guys. The 200 guys would be like the 200 guys. If you hypothetically had a podcast, these are the 200 guys you would want on your podcast. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And like
kind of like the Dream 100 list in marketing, right?
That's exactly
the dudes.
Right. Yeah. The females are more like influencers. And by the way, like for instance, on my podcast, I would love to have like Cody Sanchez and Jen Gottlieb. Those are influencers, but I don't want them because they're influencers. I want them because they're successful. Men or women, they're very successful people. So I'd still want them on my podcast. Even, it's not just all the male influencers don't have to be male. You can have some female influencers too. Like the mayor here in Las Vegas is female. So you can have stuff like that going on. So then step number 3, and this is the part that's very confusing to people, Ted. Step number 3 is to get as many open threads as possible. So I'll do invites, but Ted, this is the part that blows people's mind. And your audience is going to hear this and it's going to confuse them, but you just have to follow along with me. Just trust me on this one, okay? You invite girls to parties that they can't even get into. And you invite people to parties that you aren't even going to. And the only reason you're doing this is to get open threads. Ted, if you message me and I don't follow you and you don't follow me, it goes into the request folder. Yeah. The only point is to get them to respond at all to an offer that you have. And once you do that, now when your birthday comes up, Ted, and you have open threads with 4,000 girls, now you can hire a VA, message all those 4,000 girls, maybe over like 4 or 5 days with your VA. He maybe messages like 300 a day. And next thing you know, you've sent out invites to 4,000 girls, and then your birthday comes and 400 or 500 women show up. Do you understand? If you ever wondered how nightclub promoters do it, that's how they do it. So now at that point, when you have a ratio that's that crazy, I'm reading Dr. David Buss's evolutionary psychology textbook right now. One of the things he goes over is on college campuses, the hookup culture is more prevalent because there are more women than men. In any sort of society or environment where there's more women than men, short-term dating strategies are adopted because men have more choice and men tend to choose short-term dating options more than women do. When you have a different situation like places in Alaska or certain type of traditional tribes like Native American tribes where there are way more men than women, then long-term dating strategies are enforced. And in fact, there's one tribe up in Alaska where there's polyandry is enforced or is encouraged, which is one woman marrying multiple men. Okay. Wow. So it just depends. So if you're a guy and you're like, hey man, I want to date around, I want to have a lot of options and I want to date more attractive women, then one of the first things you want to do is create a ratio where there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. At Bilzerian's parties, he would say 7 to 1. He wants 7 girls for every guy to be at one of these events. And when he does so, there's no game, there's no talking, there's no charisma. Women are competing for your attention. And at that point, the guys tend to adopt a more short-term dating strategy, and it works better. Again, so I've taken something from that I've seen anecdotally, and then I'm comparing it to something that I see statistically when I read Dr. David Buss's evolutionary psychology books. So that's essentially what you're creating. So again, having these open threads, getting your requests out of the request folder and into the primary folder on Instagram is what your primary objective is, so that later on, when you have an important event, like for instance, let's just say the Super Bowl's in Charlotte one year, and you're going to have a party in Charlotte during the Super Bowl. Now you can go and message all those thousands of girls that were on your list. And when you message them, you're going to get a certain number to say yes, but your offer is so incredible that so many of them say yes. But here's the other thing. What about the girls who are really amazing, who would have never opened your message before, who even say, I can't make it, but thank you? Well, now I have an open thread with them. And so now, once I have an open thread with something, for those of you who don't know this, what happens, like you and I message, let's say I message some girl from Hungary, like from Budapest, Hungary. She's like stunning. And she writes me and I write her back. What'll happen is the feed, the Instagram feed will now show her my content. You didn't think about that one, did you? Now what happens is now she's seeing my content. I'm on top of mine. And when she comes to Las Vegas, I'm the first guy that she's going to message. And so now I've created a situation where there's a funnel where now I'm the cool guy to come see in whatever city that I live in. And I'm slowly creating a mid-tier level of fame. And then finally, the fourth step is you need to find 6 female teammates or 6 female friends, and you need to go to different events with those 6 female friends. It doesn't have to be the same ones. You don't have to be dating them. It's actually kind of helpful if you're not. And you go out there, and what you'll notice is having female teammates or female friends gives you 3 massive advantages. 1, it gets you invited to better parties. Number 2, it gets you really used to being attractive around attractive women. And then number 3, females are the number 1 source of me meeting more females. Usually, like my girlfriend was introduced to me by 4 different women. I was at a pageant, I was hosting a bikini pageant in Mexico. And one of my friends texted me, he's like, hey, that girl that you were asking me about, she's here. So I go up there and they've just been talking me up the entire time. Women introduce you to other women. So this is what I would tell a guy, like your question before was, what would you tell a guy, an average guy living in an average city? Do those first 4 steps. You do those first 4 steps. Then from that, now we have a baseline for you to then be able to create events or to help other people with events. In Men of Action, you're not allowed to throw your own event in the first 6 months. You actually have to help other people with their events before you can throw your own event. You're a white belt when you first, join, whatever. So that's the technique we've been teaching. Like I said, I'm at 2,200 clients now. And I have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of testimonials right now. We're still filming testimonials from all the guys who've changed their life. There's no excuse. Like when you create that level of social standing, I have a client who's 4'11", who's dating this beautiful Italian woman. And the reason why he's dating her is because you would imagine 4'11", there's no way. Well, yes, because every time they go out, there's all these women coming up and hugging him, want pictures with him. And she understands she has to compete for his attention. And that's an attraction trigger for her.